Welcome to a new episode.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Qualification podcast. As always, I'm your host Chris Bailey, and if you're a plumbing student, apprentice, or anyone working towards your technical qualification in the trades, you're in exactly the right place. This is episode 31, and today we're diving into something that trips up a lot of learners, and honestly, even some experienced plumbers when they first encountered it. We're talking about unvented hot water systems. Now, I know what you're thinking, Chris, that sounds a bit technical and boring, but stick with me, because understanding this could be the difference between passing your assessments with confidence and second-guessing yourself in the exam room, or worse, on site. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're on your first week of a new placement. Your supervisor points to a shiny cylinder in an airing cupboard and says, "Right, we need to service this unvented system. You know what you're doing, yeah?" Your heart sinks. You've heard the term unvented in college, but suddenly you're staring at an expansion vessel, tundish and relief valves, and you're not entirely sure which does what or why it even matters. Here's the thing, unvented hot water systems are everywhere now. They're in new builds, refurbs, commercial properties, you name it, they're there. And they ain't going anywhere. So if you want to be job ready and confident on site, you need to understand the principles behind them. And that's what today's episode is all about. So let's start with the basics. What actually is an unvented hot water system? Think about the traditional setup you might see in older homes. A big cold water storage tank in the loft, hot water cylinder downstairs, and an open vent pipe sticking out of the top. That's a vented system. It relies on gravity to feed water, and any expansion or excess heat just vents harmlessly into the system or out through an open vent. Now, an unvented system is different. There's no cistern, no open vent pipe. Instead, the cylinder is fed directly from the mains. That's high pressure, balanced flow at every tap and shower, which is brilliant for performance, but it also means the system is sealed. And that's where things get serious. Because here's a fundamental principle of physics that you need to lock into your brain. Water is almost incompressible. When you heat it, it does not squeeze down, it expands. In fact, water expands by 4% when heated from cold to boiling. In a vented system, that's no problem. The expansion just pushes back into the system, but in a sealed, unvented system, if that expansion has nowhere to go, pressure builds up fast. And if it's not managed properly, you're looking at a potential explosion. I'm not trying to scare you, I'm trying to make you respect the system. Because that's exactly why approved document 3G exists. Let's talk about 3G. If you're studying your T-level, sitting guilds or any plumbing qualification, you'll hear this term a lot. Part G3 of the building regulations is the rule book for unvented hot water systems. Specifically, Schedule 2 lays out exactly what safety devices you need, how discharge pipework must be installed, and who's legally allowed to touch these systems. And yes, I said legally. You can't just rock up and install or service an unvented cylinder because you've done a bit of plumbing. You need to get G3 qualified. That means you've done the training, you understand the risks, and you know how to keep people safe. Why is it so strict? Well, because if something goes wrong with an unvented system, if a thermostat fails, if an expansion vessel loses charge, if a relief valve gets blocked, people can get seriously hurt. Properties can be damaged. That's why 3G requires multiple layers of safety, and why every installation has to be either notified to building control or self-certified under a competent person scheme. Bottom line, if you want to work with unvented systems, you need that G3 ticket. And trust me, it's worth it. It's worth getting. It opens doors literally and figuratively. All right, let's get into the components, what actually makes an unvented system safe. First up, we have the expansion vessel. This is your first line of defence. It's a metal tank, usually red or blue, pre-charged with either air or nitrogen inside. Inside there's a flexible diaphragm. When the water heats up and expands, that diaphragm compresses, absorbing the extra volume. It's like a pressure cushion. But here's the catch. It needs to be the right size for the cylinder, and it needs to be maintained. If it loses charge, it stops working, and that's when you start getting water dripping from the tundish. Speaking of which, the tundish, that little funnel-shaped fitting, is genius. It sits between the relief valves and discharge pipework, and it does two things. It provides a visible air gap to prevent backflow and gives you a visual warning when something's wrong. If you see water dripping from the tundish, that's the system telling you, hey, something's not right, come check me out. Then you've got the relief valves, the PRV, pressure relief valve, and the TPRV, the temperature and pressure relief valve. These are your last resort safety devices. If the pressure or temperature gets too high, they open and discharge water safely through the tundish and out to a visible termination point. And that termination point, it has to be somewhere you can see it, usually outside, near a drain. Why? So that if the system's discharging, you know about it immediately. Finally, you've got the thermostat. The central thermostat keeps your water at a safe, usable temperature, around about 60 degrees. The overheat thermostat is your backup, cutting out around 85 to 90 degrees if things were to get too hot. If both of these fail, the TPRV steps in. It's all about layers of protection. Now, let's compare this to a vented system for a second, because understanding the differences really help it all click. In a vented system, you've got the cold water storage system in the loft. Water feeds down by gravity, pressure is low. If the water heats up, expansion just pushes back into the system. If things overheat, steam vents harmlessly out of the open vent pipe. It's simple, forgiving and pretty safe, but the performance, not great. Showers are weak, flow's inconsistent, and you're relying on gravity to do its thing. Unvented systems are the total opposite. High pressure, balanced flow, amazing showers, no system taking up loft space, but the trade-off is complexity and safety. You're managing expansions with a vessel, controlling temperatures with a thermostat, and relying on relief valves as a fail-safe. It's a sealed, pressurized system, so everything has to work perfectly. That's why only G3 qualified engineers can install and service them. It's not gatekeeping, it's safety. Let's talk about what can go wrong, because knowing the faults helps you understand the system even better. Continuous dripping from the tundish. 9 out of 10 times that's a failed or undercharged expansion vessel. The vessel isn't absorbing expansion anymore, so the PRV is opening to release pressure. The fix: recharge or replace the vessel. No hot water at all. Could be a failed thermostat, a blown immersion heater, or no power to the system. Basic diagnostics: check the fuse, test continuity, swap out any faulty parts. Water's too hot. Controlled thermostat's failed. That's a safety issue. Get it sorted. Banging or whistling noises, usually line scale on the immersion heater, especially in hard water areas. Descale it and you're golden. And here's the big one: discharge pipes terminating in the wrong place. I've seen systems where the discharge pipe just dumps into a soil stack or under the floorboards. That's dangerous, non-compliant. It has to be terminated visibly and safely as per G3. So what does this all mean to you as a student or an apprentice? First, learn the principles. Understand why water expands, why pressure builds, and why every safety device exists. Don't just memorise components, understand the why behind them. Secondly, get hands-on. If your college or training provider has a live rig, spend time with it. Identify the expansion vessel, trace the pipework, operate the valves. The more you see it in real life, the more it makes sense. And thirdly, aim for that G3 qualification. It's not just a piece of paper, it's proof that you're competent, trustworthy, and legally allowed to work on these systems. Employers love it, customers trust it, and it'll set you apart from other apprentices. And finally, stay curious. Ask questions if you're on site and you're seeing something you don't understand. Ask your supervisor. If you're in class and something doesn't click, ask your tutor. There's no such thing as a stupid question, only missed opportunities to learn. All right then, let's wrap this up. Unvented hot water systems might seem intimidating at first, but once you understand the principles of expansion, pressure, temperature control, and layered safety, it all starts to make sense. And when you can walk onto site, look at a cylinder and confidently identify every component and explain what it does, that's when you know you're becoming a proper tradesperson. Remember, water expands when heated, pressure builds in sealed systems, safety devices save lives. Lock that in. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you hit the follow for the Copper Connection podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. We're here every week with practical, no-nonsense advice to help you smash on qualification and build the career you're proud of. And if you've got questions or a topic you want us to cover or want to share your own experiences, reach out. We're all in this together. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep connected. I'm Chris Bailey, and this has been episode 31 of the Copper Connection podcast. We will see you on the next episode.
We'll be back next week. In the meantime, please subscribe and thanks for listening.